And then you sometimes once in a while offer a token and say, here, I'm helping you out after taking everything from that child. Mining exemplifies what has happened to us as a nation, and that if we must begin to get our acts right, that's where we need to start. That when mining companies come into our communities, when they come into our village, and I will use the example again of the Niger Delta, that they first must respect us as a people. They must respect our rights to development. They must respect our rights to say no. And that when we say yes and we impose conditions under which you can come and do devastating things to our environment and to our people, that we have a right to do so. And that's what community development agreements are about. That's taking back control of our environment and deciding what we want in them. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty or the rationale or the way in which the laws are structured behind community development agreements. But I want to assure you that the Nigerian Constitution agrees with me in Section 17, if we will not look at any other law in Nigeria. And it says that you cannot exploit the resources of a community except for the good of the community. So corporate social responsibility, the niceties of two classroom blocks and a borehole in your community is not enough compared to what they harness and take away from your community. Neither is it enough to say, oh, this is what we want. We've just spoken last month about environmental and social impact assessments. How should this inform development? And how does the right to say no also show up in community development agreements? So Dr. Mbachu today, who is an expert and is a great resource, will be taking us through developing community development agreements, what the law says about community development agreements, but is also going to help us reimagine how we should approach community development agreements. And I'm really, really looking forward to this session. So thank you so much for accepting to be with us today, Dr. Mbachu. I'm really, really looking forward to
My
this.
pleasure.
Yes. And everyone be in for a really interactive time, a time that would take us very deep reflections on what community, protecting community rights, many knows community rights should look like, what the law says about it, and how we imagine the implementation of the law on this. So thank you very much, Dr. Mbachu. Thank you, Noya. Thank you, Elizabeth and Josephine. I know the hard work you put into this, and Jason as well, and Bumi.
True.
Um, Happy deliberations, everyone. I will keep quiet now. Thank you. Noya?
Thank you very much, Ma, for that, for those remarks. And so we are now moving into the technical session of today. Before we start, I will just give a brief introduction of our facilitator. He's no stranger to global rights. Dr. Ekechukwu Mbachu is a senior independent environmental and natural resource governance consultant with over 19 years of experience delivering environmental governance, natural resource management, and sustainable development initiatives across 17 African countries. He holds a PhD in environmental sciences from Brandenburg University of Technology and is a fellow of the Institute of Management Consultants, Nigeria. He has led and supported several World Bank funded engagements in Nigeria's mining sector and has provided technical leadership on mining governance, environmental and social safeguards, and community development. His work has informed government policy, including recommendations that contributed to increased women's participation in resource governance and strengthening community benefit frameworks. He is a published researcher in environmental governance and sustainable mining. His work focuses on mining governance, community rights, climate resilience, and the just transition. He's the co-founder and managing director of the Nigeria Circular Economy and Cleaner Production Hub and serves as climate change and WASH technical specialist on the Global Affairs Canada-funded Field Support Services project in Nigeria. So as we can see, we're in very, very good hands today. So please let's welcome Dr. Umbachu. Dr. Umbachu, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear me very well. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, good afternoon. Noya, I don't know if it's permissible to for the attendees to kind of do. Okay, maybe they are so much. I thought they were like 18, so we could have had like a short introduction section. But since we are a lot, we won't waste time. But I won't spend time on that. So I'll just go straight to it. So I'll sort of share my screen now. Just a minute. Okay, just a minute. So, share. Okay, share window. Share. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, super. So, um, I would say welcome once again to the attendees. So, for today, we are looking at the CDAs in terms of the negotiation, implementation, and benefit sharing and monitoring. Obviously, I don't have to introduce myself. Noya has already done that. So, the thing is, why this section? Why do we have to talk about CDAs right now? CDA, benefit sharing, and others. So the thing is, for a long time we've had CDA, but it was mostly just sort of sitting on the fence. Like it wasn't practicable until we had this current minister. So the honorable minister, I think in 2023, led like a review of the CDA guidelines. So right now, the CDA law in quote is finally being talked about and enforced. So there's an open window for CDAs, so to say. So, but having said that, we'll just give like a brief, let's say, um, a brief description in terms of numbers. So, generally, about 18 companies signed CDAs in 2023 in the entire country. So the um, CDA current guideline was set a sort of deadline for 31st of December last year. So this means that before mining takes place, a CDA should be signed. It's no longer conditional. However, what we are seeing up till now is that CDAs are not yet mainstream. They are still not yet being implemented as much as they should be. So what this means is a problem and it's also an opportunity. An opportunity. So companies are being pushed to the table right now, and many of them are now hiring lawyers to help them develop CDAs and go through it. Now, what this does is like sometimes because the lawyers they have this legal expertise, they often kind of manipulate the host community. So some people sign what they don't even understand. So this presents an opportunity. So for a community that understands the law in this window has a bit more of leverage, and it's that leverage that we are here for today. So generally in the mining sector, the stakes are getting higher. So right now there are about commercially viable minerals across 500 and more locations in Nigeria. So there was less than 1% contribution of solid mineral sector in 2025. Then in 2025, from the federation account, mining contributed to revenue of about 70 billion. Later we'll see what this speaks to. So, in like we earlier said, about 18 companies signed CDAs with the community in 2023, and this represents just a fraction of active license holders. Another point to note is that we've been hearing of critical mineral. Right now, they are here. It's no longer hearsay. We've seen it. We've confirmed. So The NGSA has talked about some strategic minerals that we have in Nigeria, and of course, these minerals occurs in certain remote area that the communities don't even know they are right. They don't even know what CDA is talking about. So the stakes are actually practically getting higher. So for today's route or journey, there's going to be like four sections, and we move from rights to results. So the first section is the foundation. We talk about the law. As Abby mentioned, this will give you like a sort of preview into the law and what the law says concerning CDA. Then we talk about a big part of it, which is negotiation. I mean, CDAs don't just develop themselves; they have to be like negotiated. Then we talk about the implementation and how we share the the benefit. And then another great part that most people don't really know about or don't talk about is the monitoring and action phase of the of CDA. So for the section one, of course, what is a CDA and what it is not? Abby has talked about the constitution, so we won't go into that. So you have section 116 and 117 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2007. Then we'll talk about some real cases from abroad. Those are cases that sort of set the framework for the current CDA that we have. The CDA just didn't start today. There's like a background to it. So we'll just give some case study as to the background of CDA, especially in global context. So for the negotiation, there are about eight-step preparation. You will see this later, so I won't go into it. Then the implementation, as I mentioned, we'll talk about this CDA committee, the benefit sharing menu, money governance. Money is always important. Then we'll talk about some of the weaknesses and failures. This includes elite capture, and then we'll talk about the gender aspect. We'll also talk about the Zamfara warning, and then here I might have to bring in the expertise of Abby to kind of sort of give us, because she is on ground, she has been on ground, so she can give us some real stories as to what happened in Zamfara in terms of the impact of mining and benefit sharing. The other one we'll talk about is the opportunity. Of course, lithium is a major talk point right now in the world, so we'll just briefly touch on that. Then the last one is monitoring and actions, which indicator and which scorecard you're going to use, how you set your grievance, and then the 5-year review, and then where to get help. So at the end of all this, you'll be able to explain what a CDA is and name the legal hooks that makes it right. At least you know the law. You don't speak from a position of ignorance. When you are negotiating with the companies, you of course know where you're coming from. So when they say, for example, no, this is not right, instead of arguing, you point them to either the Constitution, the Mining Act, or the guideline. So the other part is you will know how to negotiate, how to assemble the community, how to develop your mandate, then how to develop priorities, then your evidence file, partner. We'll explain this later. Then how to map benefit sharing, because sometimes even though the benefit gets to the community, it doesn't get to the community in an equitable or fair manner, hence the benefit sharing option. Then you also understand the building blocks of a strong CDA and the red flags that you should take care of. So then you'll be able to describe the delivery machinery or mechanism. Then this one is your own part. You commit to a 30-day move. So this doesn't have to look like just a talk show, because in my own personal opinion, we've had a lot of talk shows. So it's time for action. So this training will be seen as a sort of TOT, that's training of trainers. We don't expect you to, after just listening, you um, swallow the results or and then you don't do anything with it. No, it has to be regurgitated and then used to also empower others. So generally, there's a caveat for this training before I start. The training teaches communities how to understand and use the law. It is not a legal advice. I repeat, it's not a legal advice. So when you want to do a real CDA, you have to get a real lawyer engage a real lawyer. If you don't know how to do that, Global Right and partner CSOs will be happy to sort of help you out on that. So, foundation, the deal the law gives you. So, there are four layers that makes the CDA lawful and enforceable. As Abby rightly stated, the first is the constitution. It's the ground norm. Anything that goes contrary to it does not stand. The second is the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act. Then we have the third, the Nigerian Mineral and Mining Regulation, and then the latest, the revised CDA guideline. It was launched in 2023. So I might be in sort of a rush because I don't have to like explain everything. But if you need the slide, you can always share it later in case you need it. So this brings us to what exactly a CDA is. A CDA is a binding written agreement between a mining title holder and its host community, stating exactly what the community will receive and how the company will conduct itself over the lifetime of the mine and even beyond. So generally, there are three words that carries the weight. One, it's binding. A CDA is binding. It's not like a CSR. It's not a social responsibility gimmick, so to say. No, it's binding. It flows from statute. It flows from laws. It's not a goodwill. Your CDA, the company should not take it as if they are doing you any good. You don't even need to appreciate them. It's actually your right and it's binding. The second part, it's written. So it's not hearsay, it's not story. If anything does not appear in the CDA, then it doesn't hold water. The last one is the CDA belongs to the whole host community, never to an individual. It's the whole community. Of course, we know some communities, there are people, what we call the elite capture phenomenon. Certain people just capture the whole benefit. No, the CDA doesn't work like that. So generally, every good CDA answers four questions. The first question is, what will the community receive? Their benefit, safeguards, then it gives them a voice. Two, when and how will it be delivered? Numbers, date, and mechanism. So the other one is who checks the promises that are kept or not kept? Is it the committee? What indicators do you use? How do you write the report, the layout, and all that? And then what happens if they are not, if the company doesn't follow what is in the CDA or what they promised? So this brings us to the grievance resolution mechanism. So as earlier said, a CDA is not a compensation. It is a separate, it's a separate legal document or action, and it's highly enforceable. Going further, a CDA is not a CSRO. It's not an MOU. So we have the CDA. Is it binding? Yes, it's binding. It's statutory. So it's a legal condition for commencing mining development. It's filed and approved by the by the ministry. Then it's the CDA is sort of a life document because it allows review. So it's not something that you have and it's there forever. No, after every 5 years, it can be reviewed. And even before the 5 years, you can still take certain actions. So on the other hand, these CSRO projects, they are not binding. It's voluntary goodwill. The company can decide, they fund it, they can say, okay, we don't want to do. And then most times it will look like also like it's a gift to the community. However, no, most of the I mean, in my own experience, most of the communities, they use, or most of the companies use CSRO to sell themselves. Maybe we don't have this so much in Nigeria, but abroad it actually happens a whole lot where you have something like greenwashing, whitewashing. The company makes it like as if they are doing a whole lot for the community. And you know, developed countries being what they are, many people are actually interested in what the company does for the community. So when they say that, oh, this company says we have done this for this community, they are quick to buy into that company and also support the company. So generally, CSR also favors the company. But in Nigeria, we always look at it like, oh, the community only gains. No, the company also gains as well. Then there's the MOU, that is what we call gentleman's agreement. It's also not enforceable. We have seen this in the Niger Delta a whole lot. There's been a whole lot of MOU signed. At the end of it all, nothing is done. It's abandoned, and you can't do anything. There's even no legal recourse because what are you going to say? It's not binding. So this is what the CDA actually um, kind of takes care of. Um, the cornerstone of the CDA is the Mineral and Mining Act 2007. So I'll just give a short quote, but it's a bit paraphrased. So the holder of a mining lease, small mining company, lease or quarry lease, shall before the commencement of any development activity within the lease area conclude with the host community an agreement that will ensure the transfer of social and economic benefits to the community. So the the Act names 5 areas the CDA must address. One is the people. So this is in terms of scholarship, apprenticeship, training, and employment for community members. The other one is infrastructure, support for education, health, roads, water and power, and so on. Then the other one is also like enterprises. They will have agriculture and also environmental safeguard. So CDA is actually, like I said earlier, is a gift that keeps giving. It's reviewed every year. So the deal is never final. For the revised guideline, you see that it adds that if the party cannot agree, the matter goes to the minister for resolution. So basically, you are not alone. You like without you, nothing gets done. So this is the premises. Um, Here, I must say something. If you feel like you want to chime in or you want to sort of, um, I don't know if I can see your hands, but you can always chime in if you feel like if you need to make a certain point. So I'll continue. For the 2011 regulations, it simply says no approved CDA, no lawful mining. So even if a company has a lease and they don't have a CDA, it's still not lawful to start mining. So mining lease plus no CDA is an unlawful start. Simple. No preambles, no rigmarole. If you don't have CDA, development should not start. So having said that, there's also a paper trail that protects you. These are not just oral or verbal promises. The executed CDA must be submitted to the what is called the MEC, that is the Mines and Environmental Compliance Department for documentation and approval before mining activity commences. Lawyers call this condition precedent. That is it's a precedent to the development of any mining activity. A company digging without an executed approved CDA is in breach of statutory condition. They are not just merely being impolite or selfish. No, they are actually going against the law. So what your community can do if a company is active without a CDA, you can write formally to the company and to MEC and the ministry. You cite the report and then you keep proof of every letter. You can also request a copy of any existing CDA from the same channels. They are actually always filed there. So a honest caution would be enforcement has been very weak over the years. Like I think we've had CDA for since the mid 2000s. We've had CDA, but enforcement has been weak. I myself have seen. I mean, I've had like 7 years of experience in mining in Nigeria, but I've seen just 2 CDAs, like physically. And even when I try to search online, they are not there. You have stories, but you don't find it. And this is also part of one. It's also a big issue. I mean, public disclosure. This normally should be a sine qua non. It should be like a given. Like CDA should be disclosed because, like they say, there's no secret under the sun. But if you keep something under the sun, who's going to see it? So I would say, in my own words, the CDAs are still under the sun. So they are still hidden from the sun. Nobody sees it. So even if the community, they can get easily cheated because nobody sees it. Nobody knows what they have signed with the community. I will just give like I won't mention names, so but I will give like a certain example. I went somewhere, I think in the middle belt, and they were happy that they they have CDA, there's a primary school built for them and all that. They were really happy. But when I checked the company's account, because it was like um, available online, what they gave was less than 0.01, that range. It wasn't even up to 1% of what they were making. So imagine, for example, a company that makes say 50 billion, and you build one school there and maybe the school of 2 million, and you're claiming, oh yeah, we've done CDA. No, that's unjust. But this continues because the community, for example, feels like, oh, we already have this thing, so there's no, yeah, we are satisfied. But if it's open, if it's disclosed, then people can go through it and make some observations. So I'll go to the next slide. um the 2023 CDA guideline comes with some new improvement. First of all, say it was launched by the minister on November 2023. So the guideline also ends the era of any two pages will do. They they prescribe an acceptable structure, key contents, dispute resolution mechanism, and community participation in planning, implementation, and monitoring. So for the structure, as to the structure, you have this title page, you have the part two, the commencement, you have part three, the body, which is like the main stuff. Then you have part four, the execution. Um, I think this is available online. I mean, the revised guideline. But if you want, maybe Abby can send it to you. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but obviously I know Abby has it. So in the provision, there are two things to like be very conversant about. So representation is now a checkpoint. So the CDA must state how the community representatives were determined. A company can no longer simply just choose whom it wants to align with. No, it doesn't work. They must state the rationale for the representation. Who did they like? Who and who on the table? How were they choosing? And all that. So your seat after the signature is written in. Yes, the so for the what's it called monitoring now, you also have the community has a bit more role to play in monitoring as opposed to before where once they sign it's all done, it's finished, c'est fini. No, now they can actually, it's now more of a continuum, so they can argue with it and actually litigate if they want. um so I'll go further. um Want to sort of connect the whole series. I think in the past few weeks you've been um I understand there's been a section on FPIC. There's also been a section on EIA and ESIA. So the CDA is sort of a continuum of that whole series. So the free prior informed consent gives you the right to ask freely, and then decisions you have like you give consent to whatever is happening, and then the EIA and the SEA provides the warning, what could go wrong and what must be managed. So the CDA now comes in. Consents and safeguard are converted into a signed monitorable deal. So in general, the FPIC gives you the right to be asked. The ESIA tells you what could go wrong. The CDA is where you write down what must go right. And in this, we are we are not alone. I mean, for people like us clamoring for more entrenchment of CDA in the mining sector in Nigeria, we are not alone. The regional and continental bodies also stands behind us. For example, there's the ECOWAS Mining Directive. It talks about harmonizing guiding policies and guiding principles and policy in the mining sector. It actually backs community participation in mineral development. The other one that we know, which is like the Bible of mining in Africa, is the African Mining Vision. So it's adopted by the African Union. It simply says that mineral wealth must visibly build broad-based, note the word broad-based sustainable development. So sort of mining for development, not mining despite communities. Additionally, a parallel to borrow from is the PIA, which we all know. So the PIA created host community development trust, funded with 3% of the settlers' prior year expending as capex, structured, funded, community governed, benefit sharing with trustee and need-based plan. Now, the point why we mention the PIA is that it provides a sort of guideline when you want to design your own CDA. So you can actually borrow, you can go through those stuff and borrow their idea. So generally, the direction of the Nigerian law is clear. The communities are moving from the fence to the table. So um, this is like a true story, and this it's is a sort of background to um, the history of CDA globally. So there's a country called Papua New Guinea, and there's it was actually a very strong mining location for, I mean, in the mid 70s thereabout. So there's this mine called Panguna Copper Gold Mines. It was run by the BCL, which later became Rio Tinto. We all know that. And then at its peak, it was responsible for more than 40% of Papua New Guinea's earning. However, the problem was the landowners saw almost none of it. The unfortunate part is not just being denied the benefit, it's suffering the impact. So hundreds of millions of tailings were ultimately dumped into the river system. In 1989, there was like an uprising, and then the mines closed, the companies ran away, and then that wasn't the end. Before you know it, a decade-long civil war followed, and by my own research, more than 20,000 people were killed. In 2024, the independent um, Banguma Mine Legacy Impact Assessment was published, and then Rio Tinto now currently accepts the finding, and remediation talks continues 35 years later on. But these are stuff that could have been done at the beginning, but because there was no CDA, nobody talked about including the community and all that. So their lands were degraded and all that. But today, I'm happy to say at least there are some attempts at remediation. So generally, when communities are treated as obstacles instead of partners, everyone loses. The land, the company, and sometimes a whole generation, as we have seen in Papua New Guinea. So the CDA is how you say never again, not just saying it, you prove it. It's like you ring-fence it. Never again means never again, and you are backed by the law. So the other one is, I'll try to be brief. The other one is from Canada. There's a place called Ragnan. They actually signed an agreement, and it was signed in 1995 between Falcon Bridge and the Inuit. There's a tribe called Inuit, and the first impact, this wasn't known as CDA, but it was called Impact and Benefit Agreement. So it is sort of precursor or like a forerunner to what we have in Nigeria today. So the IBA, that's the Impact and Benefit Agreement, was signed directly between a mining company and indigenous group in Canada. This was the first time. Now, significantly, the money, they had a fixed amount, then plus a share of success. So for my own research, it was $1 million on the go-ahead decision plus 1 million at production start, guarantee feed of 575K per year. That's from year 1 to 5 and all that. Then plus 4.5% of annual operating cash flow. Also, they had training and hiring. So they had like a certain proportion reserved for the what's it called now, for the Inuits. So in 2025, this is the success story I'm trying to bring. In 2025, the mine is still operating without a single issue. They've not, just think about it, since 1995, like almost 30 years now, they've operated and not a single issue because of this agreement signed. So the CDA actually is also a vehicle to that kind of forestals crisis and let's say confrontations. So there's also another one. This is the first Canada's first diamond mine. It's Northwest Territory. So there were four separate mining agreements signed. I don't know how to pronounce the name, so I can't pronounce it. Notably, plus a social economic agreement with the territorial government. Four different people, four different types of agreement. So it was, each agreement was contextualized for each of the Inuit. The point is they were not treated like, oh, we are all the same, you are all marginalized group. No, it was kind of compartmentalized, and then what I would say target based intervention. And this was done. So at the end of it all, the results, there's Aboriginal employment target of 31%. That has been met. It's recorded at above 33%. Then it's a above target because the target was written and watched. So generally, this ragland had a committee. This Ekati also had like a percentage, like they actually stated what they wanted, not just some random figure. No, they actually stated what they wanted, and at the end of it all, they got it. So basically, every strong argument, or rather, every strong agreement names its referee and its numbers. So in section 4, you will see both. So let's go. So having talked about the global case, let me go to the local case. In Nigeria, there's a place in Kogi called Okobo. They've signed a sort of CDA. It was signed initially by someone, by a foreigner who signed on the community's behalf. It was later that they found out that the person who signed on for the community was not even from the community. And it was signed for 99 years. Think about that. 99 years. Who signs an agreement for 99? You're just basically mortgaging your future, so to say. And this was a recipe for disaster. In 2014, the community refused to sign. And then 2018, a fresh CDA was facilitated by the state at the Miremco office in Lokoja. Then in 2022 again, the communities demonstrated. So hence the CDA was sort of abandoned by the miners. So generally, the lessons we learn from this is that one, the CDA must not exceed a review cycle. Like I said, a 99-year agreement is not a CDA, it's a life sentence. Then signatories must be community members. Baseline survey also matters. Then grievance channels must be established and enforced. Then um, state facilitation is not enforcement. For example, yes, Miremco lead helps, but the community must take the lead. They must own it. So somebody cannot just come and say, okay, the community, yes, for the sake of peace, take this, take that. No, it is the community that must decide. and when they decide, there's a buy-in and sort of social license. So you have the Seginola Gold again. This is also another case. So Seginola signed a CDA with host community before production. The timing actually was right. However, allegations later came up that the company signed with an individual that the community and Osun State did not recognize. So what happened? They became a dispute, and the dispute escalated to the level that it goes to a federal level. So the federal interministerial fact-finding committee was constituted. So the traditional ruler then testified that this 2018 CDA expired in 2023 and requires renewal. So in November 2024, the committee recommended that the CDA be renewed in full compliance with Section 116 to 117 of the Mineral Act and the revised CDA guideline with proper representation. So generally, what we are trying to say is an agreement signed with the wrong people is a dispute waiting for a date. Your assembly and transparent mandates are not bureaucracy, they are not wastage, they are not add-ons. They are like imperative and essential. They are also your armor, so to say. So in Nigeria, I think I've searched, and to my own opinion, I would say, even though we've talked about the weakness of the Signola Gold mine, it actually works. It at least it has worked more than a whole lot of others. So there's the Signola Resource Operating Limited. It's located in Osun State, like we all know. The CDA was signed with three host community, delivered under CDA as of May 2026. Community owned, I don't know how to pronounce this, but Golden Water Factory in Iperindo and if Ifesowapo fish market and so on and so forth. The other thing is Osun State has an equity in the mine. This is actually an innovative Nigerian model. So they are like Osun State is like part owners of the mine. However, it's also not perfect. There is an Al Jazeera documentary that documented pollution concerns at the circuit Osun River, but this is still open to the jury. I'm not too sure if I don't know if it's from the mine itself. So what has worked? What has worked in this singular model is there's a community-owned enterprise. Then there are named deliverables with dates, named projects, budget, completion, timelines, and those were verifiable at the commission. Then there's also like a sort of royal endorsement. So and the not just endorsement, they are also engaged. So I mean, when the distinguished KBC is involved, obviously the risks become very, very low because the KBC also carries his own clout. So the other thing is, like I said, state equity. It actually helps a whole lot that Oshu State is part owners of the mine. So this actually helps both in negotiation and making decisions. It's not perfect, like you said, but at least it's a honest start. So, having said all that, there are three questions I'll ask, and then maybe if someone can just chime in 30 seconds max. So, question one, a company offers CSRO projects instead of CDA. What would be your strongest response? Do you accept and say something is better than none? Or do you refuse all contact? Or three, thank them, then demand the CDA the laws require? So, I don't know, can you see the screen?
Yes, they can, but they're in webinar mode, so it's difficult
Yeah.
for them, except if they raise their hands
Oh,
and then we
okay.
open their
Oh, okay.
mics.
Okay,
They
no
can do
problem.
that.
So,
So if they raise their hands, we'll open their mics.
okay, sure. Okay, someone go. I'll pause for like 10 seconds. So for the question one, can anybody give just chime in on the question one? Okay. Nobody?
Somebody's hand is raised. Please, can you open their mic, please?
Me or them?
No, 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 no. I'm
Oh,
talking to
okay.
okay.
Okay, Clement Gaines, you have the mic so you can respond.
Okay. Good day,
Good day.
everybody.
Good day.
My name is Clement Gaines. I'm the
Okay.
CEO of CGGO Shows Limited. Okay.
Okay.
As regards the question, I
Yeah.
think I think the best course of action would be to thank them and then demand the CDA law, the CDA, the law,
Requires.
because yeah, the CDA is backed by law, which you have said, and the Constitution, while the CSR project, they can choose to do it or not, and you don't have anything to hold them to. So I think
Excellent.
the third option
Ex-
would be the best course of action to take.
Excellent. Thank
Yeah,
you for
thank
your response. That was on point. Thank you. Thank you.
you.
So I'll go for the second question. Under section 116, when must the CDA be concluded? Is it before any development activity begins? Is it two, within a year of production? Three, whenever the company is ready?
Oh,
You have the mic, Mr. Gaines.
oh, okay. Okay. The best option to the answer should be before any development activity begins. I think that's the best thing
Super.
because you need to lay down the rules of what you need before it actually commences. Because I think after production, they might not be skeptical because they're already getting what they need. So I think the best course
Ex-
of action should be before any development begins, where you can hold them to any agreement they sign.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much.
It
So the
seems
last one
Mr.
will be
Anyoleke, I'm sorry, Mr.
okay.
Anyoleke also has his hand up.
Oh, okay. I can go on as well.
You
Hello.
have the mic, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, and well done, our
Thank
presenter.
you, sir.
This issue
Thank
of,
you, sir.
I think we need to define what we mean by development activity, because to know
Okay.
mining start from exploration. So
Yes.
and generally the law does not actually recognize CDA before exploration. So we need to understand what this development stage actually means before we'll be able to answer this question in the most practical way.
Super. Wonderful response. You're actually correct. So that's actually one of the weaknesses of this current CDA. It doesn't talk about the exploration part. If you watch the latest guideline, so this is actually, I mean, if there's a review of this CDA guideline, that part has to fit into it. So, but we are focusing on what is currently on the CDA. So, but your points are 1000% valid, and I can't appreciate you enough for that response. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're actually very correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So the last question will be: how often must a CDA be reviewed?
Hello.
Yeah, Muchisa.
I think option two will be okay.
Okay.
1 year is too short a time to review CDA, but I
Mm-hmm.
think 5 years is okay. And
Yeah.
that option three is not even in it at all.
Okay.
So
Super.
we don't need to wait. We don't need to wait for a dispute. In the course of running a CDA for 5 years, you're able to
Yes.
identify areas of gaps, area of review, and things like that. So we don't need to
Exactly.
wait until there is a dispute.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that response, sir. Thank you. Wonderful response. So we'll go to the next session now. So I have to rush a little bit. So it's just a 2 hours presentation, so I have to rush. So this is just a minute. So now we'll talk about the negotiation, how to prepare and then prevail. If you don't prepare, you can't prevail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So let's go. The CDA life cycle, like I said before, it's a living document, not a one-off event. So we'll just sort of give like uh sort of a flow chart of the whole CDA process. So the first one is to organize. Then the second one is to negotiate, that is build the deal. The third one is sign and ratify and make it official. The other one is to implement. Then the fifth one, monitor. This is where many communities fall short. While the last one is to review and renew. So we adapt and strengthen. So, like I said, because of time, I'll spend like 1 hour, and we still have like two sections to cover. So later you can go through I can send the slides to all of you, and then you go through it in depth if you want to, or if you feel like. So the other thing to know is the the mining host company, sorry, the mining companies, they're always armed with seasoned lawyers who negotiate daily. Like this is their stock in trade. They know this inside out. You as a community, on the other hand, you negotiate just once. So you really need to prepare very well, because the companies, they know this is not a voluntary exercise. They know it's binding. So they always sort of come up with their A game. For them, they come with their lawyers. They are very thorough. They are very precise, because they know that everything in the CDA is binding. So you have to like also be prepared. So the first one is to convene the assembly. First, legitimacy is your currency. It's not about gathering just a few people and saying, okay, yes, this is the community. No, you have to map all stakeholders group, then ensure inclusive representation and transparent participation, then document the process. The second one is to agree the mandate, priorities, and bottom line from the assembly, not from the negotiator. So basically, there are those who negotiate on behalf of the communities, but they are not the one who sets the needs and objective of the community. They only negotiate. So here, the key action is to to define the purpose and scope of the negotiation, then agree decision-making rules and all that. Then lastly, authorize the team of five with clear limits. Then the third aspect is to set the top five must have, and this must be backed by evidence. So you basically identify your top five priorities. These are your must have. Rank them in order of importance. Then define minimum acceptable outcome, then label all other items as tradable. So it's not everything that the company can do for you, and it's also not everything that the CDA must contain. So you have to like have set your priority right. Then in setting your priority right, you must build in evidence. These are not just stories. They are not just based on feelings, but you collect imperial facts, like before I would say. Um, so you collect baseline data and community profile, you document impact, needs, and opportunity, and then extract all relevant commitment. Then you also make sure that you organize in a clear indexed evidence file. Number five, you must know the law, even though you're not a lawyer, but at least you must have some background of the law. Then number six is your partner. We'll talk about the partner later. So the partner is like your alternative where you will not go beyond. For example, if you say, okay, we need maybe two schools and we can't do one. So your two schools is your list. You can't go below that. However, you can ask the community, sorry, the company for five. You can say at the beginning, you can say, okay, we need five schools. But based on prior arrangement, you know, okay, at the minimum, your school needs, so your community needs two schools. So this is like your partner. So you must define that. Then you pick your team of five, and then lastly you have to kind of rehearse. Like you have to play, become like an actor and role play, and put yourself as the company. Think about what they will say against your own proposal, against your own objective, and all that. Then you just play act, and then let me just say, is acting as the devil's sort of advocate. So then for the CDA committee, this is actually the engine. If you make a mistake here, you always you sell yourself short. Sometimes people confuse. They think the CDA committee must be comprised of the elites or the um, let me say the upper echelon of the community. It's not always true. Sometimes you have to focus on quality. So for example, I've seen places where when it comes to negotiation, they put in somebody there because of his position in the society. But he was never a good negotiator. And at the end of it all, the community they got the short end of the stick. So you have to, in composing your CDA committee, you have to like really, really take time and put the right, put the square peg in a square hole. So having said that too, the other part is the women. You must include the women. We can't talk about this enough. Even though it seems like a cliche right now, gender, oh, gender, gender. But the truth is that it's still happening. Women are still sort of being disenfranchised. Even though, yes, in the mining sector, we've seen an upswing of women activity and all that. But generally, especially at the community level, there's still some disparity. So this has to be taken care of. Um, The other thing is the CDA committee, they approve the annual work plan and budget. They actually also oversees the project and the money. Then they receive complaints from community members. Then ideally they should write reports to the community on a quarterly basis and annually at a public CDA town hall where the company reports its activity to the community. Of course, we know money is important, so there should be like a dedicated CDA account that has joint signatories, community plus company. No side moves money alone. Then there should be published income and expenditure. Then, if it's a big where funds are significant, there should be independence audit. So generally, um, the 2023 guideline requires consultative and monitoring framework in the CDA itself. It's not a favor done to anybody. It's the right of every individual in the community. It's not just for certain people in the community. So having said that, I'll go ahead. And then the assembly right now, you to convene the assembly. That is the general one now, not the committee. The assembly. This is like when you bring in a much larger sector of the community. The mandate they give you is your compass. So you convene the assembly, make it as inclusive as possible. Women, youth, um, the vulnerable, the physically challenged, and all that. Also, announce it very widely. Nobody should say, for example, "Oh, I wasn't consulted. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, no, nobody should say that. It should be as inclusive as possible, at least to engender legitimacy. Announce it wild, like make sure people know about it. Make effort to announce to even the vulnerable part of the society. I will give you an example. I went to a place in Bauchi. They built a school. They built a school, and everything seemed all right. But in that school, they had like six um, physically challenged students. And these students, they found it very hard to gain access to the class. Like there was a step from the ground to the class. It was like 3 or 4 steps. So every day was a struggle. If only when they were building that school, they did some prior analysis, they would have something as simple as a ramp. For example, just a ramp doesn't cost much. Just cement a ramp, sloping, and then the people can easily go there. But because nobody involved the vulnerable, we just assume that okay, all of us are physically fit and all that, and we see this everywhere in Nigeria. But because of time, I won't go into that. But make your assembly as inclusive as possible. Then we also have to agree the mandate. The mandate doesn't come from the negotiator, like I said, it comes from the assembly. And a negotiator who start improvising on his own is not doing the community any good, though, is simply gambling with their future. So we'll go to the next slide. Then I will talk about the five must have. The first one is let the assembly list everything, then vote ruthlessly down to a top five. The five are non-negotiable. Everything else becomes tradable. Then your evidence file. You don't just talk, you don't just clamor. This is also part of the thing that I mean, in my own experience, um, we, 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 we don't speak most times with data. I'm not saying all the times. That is a significant part of the time. We don't speak with data. It's a different thing to clamor. Oh, we don't have oil. Oh, we don't do this. We don't do that. What was the baseline? How has this activity impacted you? What and what do you lack? So there should be an evidence base, not just clamoring. Remember, companies are not they're not what's it called now? Philanthropic organizations. They are there for their own business. So you need to fight them with facts. So when you're going for the CDA, you must be armed with evidence. For example, if you say, "Oh, we need, let's say, an hospital," there has to be if the office, if the company, for example, says, "Oh, no, we give you maybe only just a clinic," you report them and say, "No, we have so and so women, we have so and so number of pregnant women." You come out with facts. When they see that, they can't refute it, other than just saying, "Oh, we lack this, we lack that." So let me go forward. These are like evidence that can help you convert your demand into justified claim. As I talked about data. So the ESIA report, your population data, school and health data, your grievance record, then the mineral title, and then photographs and testimony. Like I said before, know your law and know your walk away. Your walk away is your partner, like I said. So now, having delayed enough, I know some people will be wondering, why has he been talking about partner, partner, partner? Partner is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So when everything fails, like they say, "Oh, the least thing that you will accept is your partner." So first, you can escalate if everything else doesn't work. You can mobilize, and then you can also wait. So your power at the table is your ability to leave it. What this means simply is that for the CDA, you are not an uh, an an option. You are a must. In fact, you are the first party. So you shouldn't be afraid to leave because without you, theoretically, development cannot commence. I'm not saying hold them to ransom, but it's good for an entity to know that I have so and so power. So know that your power, if the company doesn't give you what you want, you have the right to walk away, and then negotiation continues some other time. But don't go groveling, don't go begging them or taking pittance. No, if they give you something you feel that is not worth it, you walk away and then you come back next time. This is after you've gone to your assembly. So the team of five, like I said before, you have to. It's not just a game of, "Oh, these are the influential men in society. They should go and negotiate for us." No, it doesn't work like that. And if you see for example, I don't want to talk about some places, but watch. Um, Before we had this thing that oh, during Obasanjo, they were like agitators. And this is just my own personal experience now, personal view. We're happy with them. Oh, they are fighting for their rights and all that. Oh, agitators, yes, the Niger Delta deserves better and all that. Today, most of those agitators, in quotes, have been settled by different things, either amnesty, either contract, either what's it called, pipeline, whatever. Now, what is happening? Has it solved the problem? No. The problem is still there. So this shows that the elites alone can't negotiate for you. Negotiation must be done by competent parties, people who actually knows what it takes, not going there for their own selfish reason. They know, we'll come to that, they know how to engender benefit sharing, how to make sure that the benefit from the mining is kind of spread to everybody. So the other thing to note is in we most times when we are doing NDA, people focus on positions. For example, a position is build us a hospital here, and the company says no, we are not building. Now, there's an interest in building an hospital. It's an hospital, and hospital is not just a monument, right? It's not a monument. It's a place where we are expecting something to be done. So one thing, it's maybe the healthcare, maybe taking care of pregnant women and all that. So you must identify interest. It's when you identify interest that you can actually negotiate better. Don't just go for monuments. But we see, let's go again. So sorry, I'm trying to rush because of time. So the six moves you will face and the counters. The first one from the companies is divide and rule. They will do private deals with chief. Why it works on the community, they split your mandate and then create competing signatures. The other one is cash and gift to individuals. Then they create artificial deadlines. Then technical fog, they use BB grammar to confuse you. Then they use verbal promises. Then they cherry pick representative. All these are, they are like a no-no, but you might not know. But these are tools that the company deploys in shortchanging the community. So later you can go on, you will see the counter for each of their position. So the 10 building blocks, um, parties and representation. So you must define the host community. For example, it's not enough to just say, I've seen places where you have boundary. You have to be very clear about what the host community means so that somebody else does not come in. Let's not go into the story, but it might seem ordinary, but if you don't define and segregate your host community properly, ultimately it leads to conflict. Then employment and local content, environmental management. This is one part that we don't talk about, but your CDA must talk about this. Then monitoring and grievances, recital and baseline, the community condition before mining so that you can prove change. Then development commitment, it should be smart, so to say. Then financial provisions, governance implementation, review and renewal. So these are the blocks that you need to be very careful about before signing any CDA. But like I said, you can go through it later. So the other thing is, for example, we talked about hospital monument and positions and interest. So when you focus on position, for example, it's not always good. We've seen, I think, um, Abby one day was telling me something that how communities build schools. Sorry, not communities. Some companies build schools, and at the end of it all, there were no teachers in the school, and that school is now like a monument. So the staff, the company can actually erect buildings and say, "Oh, yes, we've built a school," but a school with no teacher is actually not a school. It's just a building. So don't focus on the the physical structure or monument alone. Make sure you feed in O and M. That's operations and maintenance budget For example, if you're talking about school, make the company understand that okay, they have to talk about the teachers. There has to be sort of maintenance fee and all that. Not just oh, you build a school and then we build a structure, it's over. I've seen this a lot of places. You just see the structure, but nothing is working there. Same as hospital. So you need to think more strategically. So after signing the CDA, the Joint Implementation Committee has to be formed within 30 days of the signature. There has to be equal representation. Then there's the public deposit of the CDA. This most times is not done. Is if you check and check for CDA, you don't see. Then there should be a community monitoring committee, then sort of a delivery calendar, then you have like a baseline survey, and then finally the grievance channel. Please, I have to say this for the last time. Pardon me if I seem rushed, because we have a whole lot to cover. And like I said, I'm going to send the slides to you so you can go through it much later. So for the clause, there are certain clauses that the company might insert into the CDA. Be careful of it. For example, when the company says, for example, the company says, the company shall, where possible, endeavor to employ members of the host community. This is is a red flag. It's not correct. Then clause B, the company shall award a minimum of 20 secondary school scholarship per year, at least 50% to girls, and publish the list on the community notice board each September. Okay, let's go on. The community shall not disturb, protest, or hinder the company's operation in any manner whatsoever. This is a red flag. You don't have to agree to this. Any dispute arising under this agreement shall be resolved by the company's management, whose decision is final. This is another red flag. So the only clause here that is acceptable is the company shall award a minimum. That is clause B. I say this because most times we don't actually bother about clauses. And when companies want to punish you, they put that punitive part of their whatever in the clauses. You don't see it. Then when there's a dispute, they use it against you. So always be careful of the clauses. So I've talked about this just now. And then so now we'll go to the this is section 3. So we'll go to the benefit sharing and then money governance and then some of the issue. So benefit sharing, all these things we are saying actually links to benefit sharing. Benefit sharing is the deliberate negotiated transfer of the share of a value created by mining to the people who carry its cost. It is not a gift and it's not a compensation. Compensation repays a loss. Benefit sharing gives you a stake in the game. So, there are like different types or different ways it gets to benefit gets to the community. So, for example, one is monetary, direct to the community, annual payment into a CDA account, community fund with an agreed formula, and all that. Um, so, the whole point of the CDA is that in Nigeria, the CDA is the only instrument in Nigerian mining law that sits on the left-hand column. Look at the left-hand column now. That is, it is the only place that the community actually play a role and can get direct benefit. If you look at this other side, yes, they can get, but it's indirect through the state. If you check this part, you see direct to the community. If you check this other part, you see indirect through the state. So the only way, I mean, legally, that the community can get money direct or anything direct is through the CDA. Every other thing is indirect. Either government gives them or government builds, and they don't even have a say in that one. So, if generally there are, like I was saying, 5 channels carries the benefit sharing value. So you only negotiate one. So generally, this is like an outline of um, mining revenue in Nigeria. You see tax and royalty. It's public revenue. It's received by the federal, state, and local government, and it's based on the RAMFAC formula. Then the legal basis is the Minerals Act. Then the 13% derivation, of course, we know about all that. Then the Solid Mineral Development Fund is actually for the sector itself. Then compensation and resettlement. These are sort of negotiated. It's not legally binding. But the holy grail is the CDA, the long-term development of your community itself, and the community agrees to it. It's received by the host community direct, and it has a legal basis. So we now also follow the naira. For example, the last year it was reported that 70 billion was paid into the federation account from mining, up from 16 billion. So this is how the Nigerian law shares it. The federal government takes the lion's share, followed by the state, followed by local government, then producing state derivation. See here, the host community gets nothing. That is constitutionally in terms of revenue. So they don't. The host community generally has no voice. So the benefit does not even really get to them. So money without governance is a rumor of money. And when it comes to benefit sharing, you have to be very, 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 very specific. Like, you don't have to be arbitrary about numbers. You don't have to be empathetic about it. It is your right. Negotiate what is best for you. Another rule is never accept whatever the company can afford each year. No, don't. Because if you do that, the company will always bring it down to as low as possible. So there are four account rules where Nigerian CDA lives or die. One is a dedicated account. So you should on no account should CDA money be mixed with private or political account. There should be joint signatories, that is the community and the company. But I've seen cases where there are groups of people that open a bank account in the name of the community. This is not right. Then there should be published accounts. Where possible and where funds are significant, there should be independent audit. Another point to note is when we talk about all these CDA and all that, my own personal opinion is, yeah, we'll talk about the present, but what about the future? So I think the CDA, this is just as an advice, the CDA should also talk about future. There's a country called Norway. Norway has been able, through their sovereign wealth fund, they've been able to save up a whole lot from their oil industry, as opposed to many parts of Africa where we have the resource cost, because nobody thinks about the future, basically. So we can also, on this CDA, we can also start negotiating for future fund. Let's keep something for the incoming generation. So the CDA is not just about money, it's also about skills, infrastructure, enterprise, environment, and land, and also voice. I say this because most people always confuses CDA and money. Like, oh, it's always about money. People always follow the money. No, the CDA is not just about money. There's a whole lot the CDA can do for the community, a whole lot. Then I'll now also talk about the transparency. You must publish the CDA, the payments, and then, like I said, Sunlight is the cheapest auditor. Always, always, always make the CDA. It is in the interest of the community to make the CDA available, to make it easily accessible. By doing so, people can actually see it and then show them where they are being shortchanged. Um, so, having said that, there's another symptom I would like to talk about here. It's a silent killer of the CDA, though most people don't know about it. It's called elite capture. If you are part of the community doing this, it's not so good, because sometimes money actually comes to the community. Money comes. However, the problem is equitable distribution. That is the benefit sharing. How is that benefit shared? I will I'll say something about a state in the middle belt. It's a very it's a very rich state in terms of um, mineral resources. So that state was the first state I visited in Nigeria after a very long time outside. So we got there to that community. I saw the mining, saw the environmental degradation and everything, and poverty. I saw poverty firsthand. Like my lecturer would say, you don't describe poverty, you experience it. I saw it. And then we went to the traditional rulers' palace. I kid you not, this was my first time of seeing a Rolls Royce in Nigeria. My very first time of seeing a Rolls Royce. Before then, I didn't even know that Rolls Royce was in Nigeria. But this was a Rolls Royce park. I'm just talking about one car. Now, why am I saying this? The community might feel, oh, they don't have anything. Oh, the mining companies um, shortchanging them or taking what belongs to them. However, the company will tell you, oh, we've given to the chief. But what happens? There is a silo. Some people have ring-fenced that money and ostracized every other person. And those people now agitate thinking that, oh, there's no benefit. No, there are benefits, but it is not being shared equitably. So if we are designing CDAs, we have to make sure that that CDA, the benefits are designed equitably. It's not, for example, you say the stool of the traditional ruler or the Eze is 50%, while the community shares 50%. That is not equitable. Sorry, I'm getting passionate about this, but it's nowhere near equitable. So you have to sort of design the CDA in, even the projects are like at least everybody gains from it, or a large proportion of the society gains from it. So having said, I'll talk about the safeguard. There are about 6 safeguards. There should be public criteria. Then we should know who and who gained. Then there should be like signed signatories, like I said before, independent audit, and then rotating seats. Like we say in pidgin English, no be your papa property. It's not you that owns it. The seat should be rotated. If you watch recently, the Nigerian Bar Association did their election, and I learned it's for 2 years. That is a good template. You rotate it, not somebody sitting down there forever and ever. No, that's not a good safeguard. Then we should also make room for assembly recall. If somebody goes there and negotiates for himself, the people should have a right to sort of recall him. The other thing is, like I said, women. If women are not on the table, half of the community is missing. One thing we have to know, we men, this goes to men now, we talk about gender as if it is charity or as if we are doing them good. No, we are not doing them any good. They are actually the ones doing us good because they are sort of still being understanding. If the women should rise up today, I'm not saying this to rile up people or to be sensational. No, we don't take the issue of gender serious enough. I have seen this firsthand. So this is why I'm actually passionate about it. If you think I'm lying, ponder on this. You hardly see, especially in the mining sector, you hardly see women millionaires, but you see a lot of men billionaires. What is wrong? It's not like they are not participating. Go to Nasarawa, you will see, oh, I've forgotten the name. You will see women breaking quarries with their hands, breaking stones and all that inside the sun. For what? It trickles to them. Why the company just beside them is making millions. So anything we are doing, if the women are not there, forget it. So now let's talk about the opportunity. Okay, let's talk about the opportunity of what's it called now? Benefit sharing. Right now, there's something called lithium, and we know that there are many strategic minerals coming up. So in Nigeria, just focusing on lithium, for example, it's a problem, but at the same time, it's an opportunity. So right now, the world demand has risen almost 40 times. Then in 2024, I think, Nigeria commissions its first lithium value addition plant. That's Avatar New Energy Materials in Nasarawa State. So about 100 million invested at Nasarawa for 4,000 tons a day, plus further 200 million plant announced by Canvas. So President Bola Tinubu, who in my own honest truth, has been very passionate about. I'm not trying to land like I'm not trying to sugarcoat it, but he has been more passionate about mining than some other administrations. I mean, he has been much more proactive. And if we continue on this step, things might get better. So now, in terms of this lithium, many of the area where it occurs, they don't even know anything concerning CDA or benefit sharing or all this big grammar we are speaking. So, like Damaoga first of all said, exploration license. Damaoga, thank you so much for raising that point. Most times, exploration is done quietly. Nobody knows. The community doesn't even know. They grant the license quietly. The community don't learn that their land has been licensed. Then number two, the mining lease is applied for. Your community becomes a host community without being told. Only then is the CDA now talked about. But exploration has already kind of begun already. They've already started some things already. So now the CDA is included. Then development begins, money committed, but your leverage is already starting to fail if you don't plan. And if you don't plan, if they don't involve you at the beginning, you are now negotiating instead of them coming to meet you and ask you for favor. Oh, please, can you accept this for us to start? No, it is you now that is now asking them for favors. So my point is, as this lithium whole not mania, this whole lithium movement is starting, we have to be very, very careful, very, very careful that we don't kind of deprive the community of what rightly belongs to them because we want to be business facing. I know this for a fact. It's very tempting to be business facing. Yes, okay, oh, 300 million investment. Oh, come. Oh, 500 million. Oh, yes, the company we've attracted investors. No, it comes at a price. We should not ignore the uh, community, and we should not make it easy for anybody to take our communities for granted. So the last part is trust but verify. So most times when the company just makes a promise, when you can't measure the promise, it's not enforceable. For example, to say, oh, um, let's say we'll provide pipe-borne water. Oh, I've seen this many times in Kogi. They provided water. I think after like 3 or 4 years, the thing got dry. Now that thing is a fossil there. The what's it called? The water scheme is a fossil. It's not working. Why? Because people are focused more on the monument, the picture. Oh, Governor Lulu commission so and so and so and so school. Yes, it's it's opened. Photo ops. People are happy. 5 years, no, not 5 years, 5 months down the line, go down there, there's nothing working there. So how do we kind of um, work around this? It's by creating monitorable indicator. Not just say, for example, support education. You say how many scholarship per year? What proportion are women? What proportions? Sorry, proportion is the physically challenged. Then the other one is, for example, they say support the clinic. Support them how? Is it in terms of staffing? Is it in terms of drug? My point and what I will advocate, sorry I'm talking about this so much. We need to do away with monuments and photo ops projects. We need to focus more on what works. And to do this, you need to start using data. You need to get like measured because I mean companies don't listen to your beg; they listen to data. So we need to start. If you are developing CDA, we need to be more get a little bit more quantitative. So, for example, here is a scorecard now. For example, this is the promise. This is the promise from the CDA, and then this is the target. And then on the second quarter, 22 was sorry. The first one says target 20 per year, but they now had 22. So status it's on track. Boreholes are they working? The target is 6. This is 4. Then you say on is it on track? No, it's kind of late. Community, for example, fully paid. Is it done? No, not done. So you sort of keep a scorecard of every promise. And like I said, bring in the numbers if you are developing CDA. Enough of monument. If you don't take anything out today, this monument and photo op project I'm talking about, let's do away with it. If you permit me, I'll just give you a small example, a very small example. The school where my primary school, I remember we had like a storm, and the what's it called? The zinc was blown away. After the zinc was blown away, um, I thought, oh, as a child, I thought, no school. I was happy. Shebi zinc don't blow the school come out. Tajano will go school. Oh. Then Nigeria was good. The teachers called our parents to say, no, there is school. We learnt under like in a building without zinc. Guess what? Today, I mean, many of us were like not something grandiose. At least many of them went, they become accomplished people. So the point is, it's not the building. We focus more every time more on the building, building, building. No, that's not what really matters. What matters is the deliverable ultimately. So we stayed for days inside the sun, but we were learning. I'm not advocating for that to Sraku, no go and quote me wrong. But at least that worked. Compare it to a place I've been to in the part of Nigeria where I see a school, but it's under lock and key. Nobody there. I'm not lying. I'm being very honest. I saw a school. There was nobody there. Nobody teaching. It was locked like that. Why? Oh, the copper teacher no come. I'm being very, very honest. That school relies solely on coppers. And once the coppers didn't come, school become locked. There's no benefit on that. And sorry, I'm taking your time. Then, having said that, I'll sort of start rounding up. So, from my own experience, I would say Seginola, even though it's not the best of all we can have, but at least they are like doing well and they are like keeping some records. So you could see, for example, they say third quarter of 2024, they have 26 students from host community on scholarship, 1,700 workers supported the operation, employment on industrial scale, 32% of the workforce drawn from Osun State, the whole state. And then there are also some other. So in this case, the Segnola mine is not just an event, it's a regime. They are using numbers. For example, you can't come now and tell Segnola that, oh, you're not doing well. They have the numbers, so they can actually show you. Not just, oh, we provided jobs, we did this. No, they have empirical data. Apologies to Rufai. Uh, having said that, I'll go to the next slide. So, in case when delivery stalls, when delivery doesn't really work, maybe there's a conflict or there's a quarrel or something, there are like steps to address dispute and conflict and crisis. So the first one is the CDA committee. You will raise, if the issue is small, you raise the issue at the next meeting and get it minuted. So the point is, many failures are they are not from bad faith. They are like because of just maybe disorganization, maybe they forget something and all that. So it's not done in bad faith. So the next meeting you could go to them and remind them that, oh, you said this, you didn't do this. Then the other one is you can step it up to the company liaison. Most times they always have like a company liaison who listens to the community. So you write like a formal letter. If that one no do, you now go to the community assembly. That is a documented, signed assembly resolution that tells the company it faces a community, not a committee. Then the other one now is now the MEC or MECD. That one if you feel like okay, you've done all this, it didn't work, you can now go to MEC and write a written complaint citing the appropriate law, and then your evidence will be logged. So if you are going there, go there with evidence, not just grievance. Then another one that we miss is the transparency, and Nate is driving that. But unfortunately, it's not talked about or used enough or employed enough. I believe in Nigeria, if in honest strata, honest fair, if we become more transparent about everything, trust me, corruption in Nigeria will reduce drastically. People do things they do because the sunlight does not shine on it. If your CDA, for example, if you take it and then you sort of make it known, publish it on website, let people see it. In fact, send it to Nati. Trust me, companies care about their images. They will always rectify it. There is somebody, I don't want to say his name, but it's unfortunate that we've got into that. Sorry, I'm getting personal. We've got into that level. VDM, Martin Ose. Today, every time we have an issue, we people sort of pivot to him, run to him. Normally, it shouldn't be like this. Normally, they should be like transparency. We should be seeing everything live and direct. But here in Nigeria, even we ourselves, we obscure data. We don't want to be seen. Oh, don't put it here. Okay, off the mic. Why you go off mic? So public spotlight actually really matters a lot. If everything else fails, the law um, is your last recourse. Like you say, the law is the hope of the common man. So basically, we start from green, and then the red is the highest level of dispute. So the rule of the climb, everything is in writing, always write, and always try as much as possible to give a deadline. So, like I said, the CDA is not, it's a life uh, document. It changes. So after every 5 years, it changes or you can update it. So this is like a second negotiation because people make the mistake of when they develop CDA, they think, oh, it's over. And then there are CDAs that are like, I think 2018 until now, nobody talks about it. It's still no. It should undergo a like sort of renewal. So this is the template for renewing. The first one, maybe 12 months to the let's say the fourth year, 12 months to the fifth year. You start to audit the record, take stock of what happened the last year, what was promised, what was delivered, and what failed, and why. Then set new priorities. Priorities always evolve. Priorities are never stagnant, they are dynamic. Then you table your revised demand, then you negotiate and draft, then review, sign, ratify, and then file. So some things changes in 5 years, and that is why a review matters. One, commodity prices, then the community itself, population might grow, there might be different dynamics. People need a different thing. There are like different priorities. Maybe a new set of people have come. I could no, let's not go there. But so then there are like new impacts and then new leaders on both sides and all that. So it's a live document, and the first is yes, it's a good ground to start on, but subsequently it should always be like renewed and even improved. So lastly, you're not alone. Know all these doors before you need them. One of the most important partner is MEC or MECD. Then state government. You at least you pick their brain. Don't just develop your CDA in isolation. See what others have done. For example, if let's say Rio Tinto, maybe a foreign company, has given these people $10 million, and they come to your place and they are mining maybe a greater amount of mineral, and they come and say, "Oh no, we're not giving you 10 million. We are giving you no." So you always consult with your peer communities. It allows for comparison. Then your 30-day move for this, you because of time you can't feel it now, so we'll just go. So this is your sources for further readings. If you these are the references. So the last question I will ask is, when the truck leaves the trucks of the mining, what will remain? This is the quote. What remains is what is written in the agreement you negotiate, the committees you build, the scorecards you post, the evidence you keep. And what is written is decided by the people in the room, by you. Thank you very much. Questions, remark, observation, critics. So go for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Mbachu.
You're welcome.
I really enjoyed your presentation, especially
You're
your attention to gender issues. So thank you for that
welcome.
perspective. So I see
No
that
problem.
a few hands are up. So we'll just
Super.
take
Okay.
a few questions before we go. Okay, so Mr. Dele, I see your hand is up. We'll pass the mic. We have the mic now, so you can speak.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Ah, sir, what else, sir?
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I greet you,
Hello.
sir. I
Hello.
can hear you very well. I can hear you,
Yeah,
sir.
I really want to thank
Well done, sir.
our lead presenter, our resource person. Of course, I think that you have engaged about one or
Yes,
two
oh,
occasions, and I can
yes, oh.
testify to the in-depth study that you have done
Yes, thank
on this particular very important aspect of our community engagement in mining. I want to
you. Yes,
appreciate the global rights, right
thank you,
from
sir.
our director, Ms. Biodun Bayewu, and all the team. This is a job well done, and it's a very
Thank you,
good
sir.
compliment to what Center did some years back, which led to the new guidelines that was published in 2023. And I
Okay.
hope that the spread, the publicity we give to this document will go a long way if well implemented, if well monitored from implementation. It will go a long way to prevent a lot of crises that is happening now in the mining sector between mining
Exactly.
operators and their host communities. It will take
Exactly.
us, it put us a very big advantage to what is happening in the oil and gas sector. So I really want to appreciate everybody concerned, including all your field officers who put this thing together. Kudos to you on
Exactly.
behalf of the station. We want to appreciate
Thank
you
you.
for your job well done. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so
Anytime
much.
from now,
Thank
I
you, sir.
might exit this platform because to start another meeting which I'm going to chair, and
Okay,
that's
sir.
Zoom meeting the next couple of minutes. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for attending, sir. Thank you so much.
So
Thank
we
you
look
so
forward
much.
to 29th of July. And
Sure,
also, if
sure.
Daba is coming up again in November, we are all for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
sir.
very much, Mr. Ayonleke. Thank you all for your consistent partnership and support, sir. We're really grateful.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Okay, Mr. Clement, I see your hand is up. You have the mic. Please go ahead and speak.
Okay. I want to thank the facilitator for a very good job well done. This session has really been enlightening for me, especially because I got to know some nitty-gritty about agreements, negotiations, and the all. So, my question here is as regards
Yes.
the oil and gas
Okay.
sector, the oil and gas industry.
Yes.
I think during the presentation I saw a 4.5% operational cost. That's as regards
Yeah.
benefit sharing with the CDA. So, my
Yes.
question is, aside the 3% for the
Mm-hmm.
PIA Act, which is stipulated by the Constitution, and the
Yeah.
CDA also be enforced independently. So can we all enforce both the PIA and the CDA on the company? You understand? And
Go on.
secondly, I want to
Yeah.
ask, can the CDA be enforced after production? Probably the company has done everything, they've done the construction, the mechanical and everything, and there was no CDA enforced documents prior to them completing their project. During the
Okay.
production phase, can the CDA
Yeah.
still be brought into the limelight?
I will start with the second. So
Okay.
theoretically, no. Theoretically and ideally, no. But the CDA itself is like a child of circumstances. Do you get? So the CDA is just, let's say, 12 years old. I mean the whole concept. But mining has been going on for a very long time. So
Okay.
at the beginning, yeah, there are some companies that sort of did some sort of CDA. And then the CDA also, you have to also note that the mining sector is not close to new entrants. Do you get? It's not like they are, as we speak, new licenses are being given. You get? So
Mm.
going forward, it's only for the companies seeking for new licenses. But at the beginning, it wasn't really like that. So for the
Okay,
other
sorry,
one,
sorry. Can I
yeah, go on. Yeah,
ask you
sure, sure,
this?
why not?
All of
Yeah.
this company was within the 10-year span that you said CDA was being enforced.
Say that again.
What if this company, this multinational, yeah, is
Yeah,
between
yes.
the 10-year span, which you actually talked about now?
Okay. So the CDA itself, it's a 5-year document. Even the first one, because right now we have like a review that was done in 2023. But even the first one is also 5 years. But like you rightly asked, what happens is most times people don't adhere strictly to the 5-year span. So the company just, like, many people actually feel like the CDA is a one-off thing. Like, it's not supposed to be a one-off thing. It's supposed to be like it's renewed every 5 years. But the problem is when the community feels, okay, we've done our CDA, and then they are giving, maybe after 3 years, the community develops school, puts an hospital there. To their mind, it's over. They don't build for us. No, that's not it. It's every 5 years. Like I said in one of my last slides, the needs evolve. Do you get? So
Okay.
that's it. Yeah. Then as per the 13% is actually different from the CAPEX. The CAPEX is a different thing entirely. So they are sort of, I would say, the petroleum sector has, especially in Nigeria, has more is more benefit sharing friendly. That is theoretical. So there are like different streams through which you can make, even the community can get direct what's it called that, direct help or assistance, or um which one should I use now? The community, they can get a lot of stuff from the company, unlike
Oh,
the mining sector. The mining sector, the only legally recognized mechanism through which the community can directly advocate for benefit is the CDA, unlike the oil sector. So the oil sector, there's a whole lot that goes simultaneously through which the community can tap. And these are all, sorry, most of them are legally binding. But being legally binding and the practicability on ground are two different conversations. So I don't know if that's your question.
Yeah, it answers my question. But what I'm still asking, can both legally binding agreements still work under the
Yeah,
petroleum?
yeah, sure, you can. Sure, very
Okay.
well. Like these are like even your 13% derivative, theoretically, right? Even your mining sector, or no, let me use royalty, for example.
Okay.
The companies normally should get a bit of the royalty. I don't know if you get the states get some part of the revenue from mining, but that doesn't stop them from developing their own CDA. So one legal mechanism doesn't cancel out the other. I don't know if you get that. So they can
Yeah,
both
but
run. Yeah, go on.
okay. But what I was asking specifically, I'm not talking about the 13% derivative, which
Yeah,
everybody knows that is the formula sharing. I'm talking about the
yeah,
PIA 3% for the host communities. You know
yeah,
that's
no,
stipulated in the constitution. I'm talking about a
yeah.
3%
No,
expenditure plan.
yes, it also runs as well as the 13% derivative. It runs. Both of them run at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it runs. And you know, the 13% doesn't, okay, but because of time, the 13%, the more talk about 13%, doesn't go to the community direct.
Community, yes. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
so
thinking.
let's leave that part. But the capex you are mentioning actually theoretically goes to the community direct.
The
But
host community. Yeah.
yes,
Well, thank you very
yes.
much. I really
You're
appreciate
welcome,
it.
sir.
Thanks.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Please, very briefly, I don't know whether I can just add one or two, well, just one thing.
Go for it, sir.
All
Yeah,
right,
My
see,
sir.
boss.
in our advocacy, I want us
Yes, sir.
to build a very strong wall of defense
Okay.
against state government or local government taking over the CDAs. Because there are some states now who are angling that they are the one to negotiate CDA and issue of consent with the mining companies. Just like you have
Okay.
observed during the last the last round of observation.
Yes. Yes.
13% derivative that state
Yes.
governments are getting. How much of
Yes.
this are being deployed to the host mining
Exactly.
communities who
Community.
are actually
Exactly.
Yeah.
suffering the burden of mining? And yes, they
Exactly.
still want to take over the issue of CDAs. These are the only things that the community are left with. Apart from the fact that the community will be denied this benefit, the mine operators also become very arrogant, very unreachable to the host communities. If peradventure,
Exactly.
the state government takes
Exactly.
over the issue of CDA. So we must build a very thick wall of defense against this kind of conversation that is going on among our state governments and even some local governments. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
that perspective.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Martha, your hand is up. We pass the mic to you. Please make your questions very brief so we can wrap up.
Thank you, Noya. Please, my question goes this way. The
Yes, ma'am.
CDA is
Yes.
being kind of negotiated by individual communities. And now
Yes.
let's take it for instance, the new mining that is ongoing, the lithium or
Yeah.
so that I call it.
Yeah,
We are
lithium.
having it. I'm from the Niger Delta region. We're also having the black sand, being mined here, and then
Yeah.
there's being mined elsewhere. So how do we have justice that whatever we're negotiating is, got some kind of equitable outcome, just as we're having other regions of the country? How do we ensure that that happens?
Good
Thank
one.
you.
So thank you. Great question, man. So it's two ways. If there are companies that are already working there without CDA, please, I beg you, take it up with MEC, that is MECD. Talk to them. If it doesn't work, you can as well as escalate the case to the minister. So the minister will sort of adjudicate. That is for those ones, that is for those companies that are already on ground. But in future, right? In future, if maybe they before they are even talking about mining lease in your community, always keep your ears to the ground. If you see anybody coming to mine black sand, go there, ask him where is your CDA. So that should be your the starting point. If they don't have, then you can stop them. Do you get? But for the ones already there, take it up with the ministry so they know how to handle that. And I think the last time I talked with Meg, they've done some of those sort of um, retrospective CDA kind of, for lack of a better word. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. My second
You're
question,
welcome.
please. Don't be offended.
Okay, I'm not.
Yeah,
Ma.
we are talking about time. Okay, so there is a plan by the federal government to go into oil resumption in the Ogoni axis, for instance, and then they've come up with what they call there is a negotiation, a kind of thing they set up that talks about being honest and all that, that the government is showing transparency. And what we have been seeing is some elites have come together, those that are like leaders have come
Yeah,
together.
true.
The first set that went to see the president, they knocked that out, that they were not good enough to have represented them,
Yeah,
and then they went on, and then now it's being made like a political thing. It is not a thing that they are coming to an area that blood has
very
been
true.
spilled, a lot of things has gone wrong, and then they are coming back to resume what had been kept in the ground for about 30 years
Very,
now.
very true.
So
Very, very.
how do we go about that? This would be good. I'm just
Unfortunately,
trying to
Madam
rush
Martha,
it. Yes.
no, it's fine. Ma. This is actually something that is close to my heart. The UNEP, they carried out the Ogoni, but
Yes.
this is an oil sector issue. So
Yes.
here we are focused on solid minerals. But, yeah, but if you are to ask me, there's one song say now who I go ask. So for Ogoni, it's just a power tussle, and what the host community needs to know is this: those elites, they are fighting for their own benefits. The earlier
Mm.
the community knows this, the better. So this is
Yeah.
what's my personal opinion on the Ogoni. All of them fighting there. There is no one. The only person that I see is long dead. These other ones are just fighting for relevance and money. So, but the
Mm.
community has to like step up. So I'm done. But this is
All right.
oh
Thank
yes,
you. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much for your questions. If you have any more, please just drop them in the chat box. We'll take as many as we can before we wrap up. I see a lot of people are requesting the slides. Don't worry, we'll share the slides with you subsequently. We also dropped a YouTube link. If you go to the beginning of the chat, you will see where we dropped a YouTube link to our previous modules. So you can access, this is the sixth module. So we've done 5, so you can go back and access previous sessions that we have done. Abby also dropped the revised CDA guidelines in the chat, so you can download that. She also shared the ECOWAS mining directive here in the chat. You can also download that, and the Africa mining vision. So all those documents are here. You can access them in this chat live. So we've reshared the link for previous modules for those who want to catch up. So if there aren't any other questions, we'll be closing now. So thank you all so much for your participation. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sticking around. And thank you, of course, Dr. Mbachu, for your excellent facilitation and your time management as well. I know that it's always a lot to cover these topics with.
Exactly.
You can't exhaust them, yes. But thank you for that, and thank you for doing justice to it. We hope that the next time we call on you, you would answer us. But yes, this has been a very informative session. The date for the next session will be communicated subsequently. We will share with you as well as the slides for this session. So be sure to always just keep your eyes peeled on Global Rights social media at Global Rights NG, on Instagram, on X, Global Rights Nigeria, on Facebook, so that you can be up to date on our activities, and you can always yes, just stay informed. So when the next session will be happening, you will see it, you'll get details on the topics and the dates, and we'll also reach out directly on that. So once again, thank you all for your participation, and thank you, Dr. Mbashu. Enjoy
You're
the rest
welcome.
of the day.
Yeah.
Bye.
So bye. Bye everyone. Bye. Bye. Have a lovely evening. Bye.